Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a truly in-depth exploration into the latest currents of artificial intelligence. We're pulling out the most important nuggets of knowledge and surprising facts from the AI Daily News Digest of July 1st, 2025. Our mission for you, our listeners, is really to give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed on what's happening, right at the bleeding edge of AI, cutting through the noise to the core insights.
It's an incredibly dynamic period, isn't it? What's immediately striking is just the sheer velocity of breakthroughs. We're witnessing rapid advancements, not just in the raw capabilities of AI models, but fundamentally in how these models are created. And the intense competition for the human minds driving them, plus the complex, evolving challenges of genuinely integrating AI into our daily lives. This all raises, I think, important question for us today. How do these individual pieces, these headlines, connect? How do they form the larger unfolding picture of AI's future?
That's precisely what we're here to unravel.
Yeah.
And speaking of how AI is created, here's where it gets really interesting. Imagine an AI system that isn't merely using other AI, but is actively designing entirely new AI architectures, all on its own.
Right.
This isn't science fiction. It's what the Allen Institute for AI has achieved with their multi-agent Genesis system.
Yeah, it's a fascinating leap.
It effectively simulates the entire research and development process, from generating initial ideas and sifting through existing literature.
All the way through design, implementation.
Exactly. Pre-training the model and then evaluating its performance. It's like an AI becoming its own highly efficient research team.
This approach is truly groundbreaking. I mean, it automates scientific discovery within the AI domain itself. Genesis leverages what they call a ladder of scales strategy, which is for incredibly efficient verification. Absolutely critical given the immense computational costs involved in AI development.
Right, the cost is huge.
Think of it like this. Instead of just blindly training massive models, it starts by quickly testing a large number of very small models. For instance, training, say, 1,000 models at just 14 million parameters on 0.7 billion tokens.
Okay, so small and fast first.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Then, based on those initial rapid tests, it intelligently allocates progressively fewer trials, but with larger scales, to only the most promising designs. So maybe just 5 models at 350 million parameters on 50 billion tokens.
Ah, I see. Filtering up.
This intelligent sort of hierarchical approach dramatically manages the otherwise prohibitive cost. It makes the discovery process economically feasible and, frankly, much faster than human-led iteration.
And the results they've seen from this are, well, astounding. Genesis conducted what they believe is the largest automated language model discovery experiment ever, yielding an impressive 1,062 novel language model architectures.
Wow, over 1,000 new ones.
And these weren't just theoretical constructs. Every single one was fully verified through actual pre-training.
That's key, verification.
What's even more significant is that their best designs proved highly competitive with and even outperformed well-established architectures like GPT-2
A classic.
and Mamba-2, that newer, efficient model for long sequences.
Right.
On 6 out of 9 common benchmarks. It's not just generating ideas, it's actually outperforming what we've painstakingly built.
And a key insight from this, I think, is the sheer power of integrating diverse, intelligent components within an autonomous system. Consider this, a symbolic checker within Genesis.
What does that do exactly?
It's essentially a component that validates the logical correctness and structural integrity of the AI's generated code.
Okay.
It drastically improved the rate of valid code generation. They saw a significant 67.4% drop in validity when that specific component was disabled.
Wow, that's a massive difference.
It really demonstrates how crucial these interconnected modules are for robust outcomes. And a fantastic example of a newly discovered design is Llama, a variant of Mamba-2. Yeah, it integrates hierarchical state space modeling to handle those long-range dependencies even more effectively. And what makes this all even more compelling for you, our listener, is that the Genesis console is actually available for public viewing online.
Oh, really? Where?
At genesis.allen.ai. So you can actually go explore these automated discoveries yourself. It's not just a paper, it's a living system.
That's incredible. So AI systems becoming architects of their own future, speeding up discovery. But while AI builds AI, the human element, especially top talent, remains fiercely contested, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Which brings us to our next major update. A huge strategic move from Meta. there's been significant movement of top talent to form their new Superintelligence team.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just casual hiring. It feels like a strategic aggregation of some of the brightest minds.
Yes, and the crucial aspect revealed here is the specific caliber of talent involved in their prior affiliations.
Hmm.
It really speaks to Meta's ambition. Alexander Wang, a pretty well-known figure,
Right.
has joined Meta as its chief AI officer, working closely alongside Nat Friedman. And he's not alone. He's joined by a prominent group of researchers from OpenAI,
Right, cool.
including at Shengjiazhou, at Jiuxim, at Renhong Yu, and at Shuchobi, all with the explicitly stated goal of working towards superintelligence.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
And it's worth noting, at Renhong Yu is the creator of the highly regarded O3 Mini and O1 Mini models.
Okay, so top model creators too.
This isn't just expanding the team, it's a calculated, aggressive strengthening of their AI capabilities, clearly aiming for leadership in the next generation of AI.
So what does this really aggressive talent acquisition mean for the broader industry? And, for you, the listener, trying to make sense of this landscape. This move has been widely discussed as Meta's determined push to poach top talent,
Definitely feels like poaching.
potentially signaling a very strong future for their Llama models as they gear up for the next big releases.
Could be.
It also highlights these rapidly shifting power dynamics and compensation structures within the AI industry.
For sure, the money must be incredible.
Some commentary suggests that OpenAI's retention issues, which we've heard whispers about, may stem from more than just financial incentives. Perhaps there are differing views on the mission or the long-term direction, maybe even ethical guardrails.
That's a really interesting point. It could be about philosophy, not just paychecks, a battle for brains and beliefs.
Definitely.
And this raises an important question about the broader AI job market, right?
Yeah.
And the evolving value of expertise. We're seeing this growing sentiment of polarization.
How so?
Well, while AI undoubtedly has the potential to automate and displace some traditional CS jobs,
Yeah, that's a concern.
the demand and, crucially, the compensation for top-tier AI talent have just never been higher.
So a widening gap.
Kind of. And this has ignited fascinating discussions about what truly constitutes a credential in AI today. Some argue that a strong, demonstrable GitHub project showcasing practical skill can be as powerful, maybe even more so, than a traditional PhD.
Interesting. Real-world skill versus academic credentials.
Though, as the humorous saying goes, you might still need to stand on the shoulders of 100 who have one without a PhD to get that deep insight.
Cool, all right.
It points to a field where demonstrated capability often trumps traditional routes, but that deep theoretical understanding still paramount.
That's a dynamic shift in itself. Okay, let's pivot from the human elements and corporate strategy to the actual performance of models.
Yeah.
METR, the evaluation body, has just released preliminary findings on two really influential model series, DeepSeek and Qwen.
Yeah, and the nuances revealed here are particularly fascinating for anyone closely following model development. DeepSeek's new GRPO reinforcement learning algorithm, it's generating significant buzz.
GRPO?
Yeah, it's being discussed as a potential successor to established methods like PPO and DPO
Which are important
for training AI to perform complex reasoning tasks. Crucial stuff. However, it's not uniformly positive news.
Oh.
Reports also indicate that DeepSeek R2, a later iteration, was actually shelved due to unsatisfactory performance, so they ended up releasing an updated R1 version instead.
So, not always forward progress.
Exactly. It underscores a critical reality. Achieving consistent linear advancements in model capabilities is incredibly challenging. Sometimes even the most promising research needs to take a step back, refine the approach, before moving forward again. Progress isn't always a straight line, you know.
That's a good reminder. And for the Qwen models, what are we seeing there? Sounds like a mixed bag.
Very much a mixed bag in the real world. On one hand, there's been notable success with fine-tuning the Qwen 3 0.6b base model.
Okay, so adaptable for specific uses.
Right, indicating its potential for specialized applications. However, on the local deployment front,
Running it yourself.
yeah, users are encountering a significant discrepancy. Models like Qwen 3.14b and Qwen 2.5 Coder 14b are underperforming a lot compared to their published benchmark scores.
Why would that be?
Well, this discrepancy raises important questions, not just about raw processing power, but about common bottlenecks and practical issues when running these powerful models locally outside of those controlled lab environments.
Right. The real world is messy.
And this particular point really illuminates the practical issues users face beyond just academic benchmarks. For instance, while OpenRouter's DeepSeek models are reported to be cheaper.
Which sounds good.
Some users have shared really frustrating experiences, like models inexplicably injecting Mandarin symbols into generated code.
Oof, that's not ideal.
Not at all, especially for global applications. Others report endless waiting times, then empty responses from the DeepSeek Reasoner API.
So reliability issues.
Exactly. It emphasizes that while benchmarks are valuable for comparing theoretical performance, real-world reliability, avoiding slop in outputs, and ensuring consistent API performance are absolutely crucial. Crucial for adoption and maybe more importantly for building user trust in these tools. It's about functionality, not just scores on a chart.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so beyond those big ticket items, AI, building AI, talent wars, model deployment realities, the digest also touched on some crucial underlying trends. One fascinating area is this drive towards radical efficiency, highlighted by the new RWKV7 Goose architecture.
Oh, yes, Goose.
This sequence modeling architecture sounds like a potential game changer for efficiency.
It absolutely is, or at least has the potential to be. This 2.9 billion parameter model achieves something remarkable: constant memory usage and constant inference time per token.
Constant, regardless of sequence length.
That's the claim. Which means, in practical terms, its performance shouldn't degrade, and it runs efficiently even on much longer sequences of data.
That's huge for practical deployment.
Massive,
Yeah.
especially on devices with less memory or for applications needing long contexts. It's already setting new 3B parameter state-of-the-art on multilingual tasks and matching current 3B SOTA on English performance.
And it was trained efficiently, too.
Dramatically fewer tokens than other top models, yeah. This isn't just a technical feat. It points to a significant drive towards more efficient, more accessible AI. AI that can run on a broader range of hardware, maybe even enabling more powerful on-device AI.
Okay, that's really exciting on the efficiency front.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's this growing sentiment of AI fatigue emerging among users. What's driving that feeling, this sort of digital exhaustion?
It's a great question, and it highlights this growing issue around trust and authenticity in an increasingly synthetic world. The rapid proliferation of AI-generated content. I mean, the observation that, 4 out of the top 10 YouTube channels are now AI-generated?
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, often accompanied by low-quality, incoherent comments. It's profoundly eroding trust in online content authenticity.
I think I've noticed that kind of generic feel sometimes.
Exactly. Users are expressing genuine exhaustion from the repetitive writing styles, the often awkward prosody in AI voices, the unnatural cadence.
Yeah, that AI voice thing can be grating.
And just the overall slop, as some call it, that makes verifying content really challenging. It feels like the internet is developing a low-grade AI cough, as you put it earlier.
Maybe so.
This isn't just a phase. It raises fundamental questions about information trust in this hyper-digital age. It's quantity versus quality, and right now, quantity seems to be winning, often at the expense of genuine connection or reliability.
And this growing fatigue, this skepticism, it stands in stark contrast to some really bold predictions we're still hearing. Like most stocks claim that by 2025, that's next year, AI will outperform humans in any screen-based job.
Any job, that's ambitious.
Right, enabling seamless collaboration, indistinguishable from human teammates via platforms like Zoom. Yet, top commenters in these discussions, they voice significant skepticism, citing unrealistic timelines and persistent unsolved edge cases for AI capabilities that prevent true human-level generalization.
The hype cycle continues.
It seems the hype isn't always matching the daily reality people are experiencing.
Absolutely. And speaking of reality, it seems big tech, like Microsoft, isn't just developing AI for the outside world. They're actively pushing for its internal adoption.
Right, among their own workforce. That highlights a fascinating tension.
Microsoft is reportedly pushing its managers hard to adopt AI tools internally.
Trying to lead by example, maybe? Drive innovation from within?
Presumably. But the key insight here is the reaction from employees themselves. While there's this clear mandate from the top, some employees are expressing skepticism.
Worried about.
They're worried about being forced to use potentially bad or unoptimized tooling simply to meet internal metrics.
Checking a box rather than actually improving work.
Exactly. Rather than because these tools genuinely enhance productivity or solve real everyday problems, it highlights that classic friction between top-down mandates for tech adoption and the practical utility perceived by end users.
Happens all the time with new corporate software.
It's a common challenge, and AI AI is no exception. It just reminds us that even the best tech won't succeed without genuine user buy-in and demonstrable value.
That's a critical lesson for any enterprise. Okay, and finally, let's take a quick look at the evolution of everyday tools and user strategies. Aider, that popular AI coding agent, recently updated its support for new Gemini models, 2.5 Pro and 2.5 Flash, and also OpenAI's O3 Pro.
Right, staying current.
And notably, O3 Pro achieved a new 85% SOTA on Aider's polyglot coding benchmark. That's impressive across multiple programming languages.
It really is. And it indicates the rapid, continuous evolution of available models for highly specific tasks. For example, users are reporting that Gemini 2.5 Pro is consistently performing better than even ChatGPT in transcribing audio files.
Oh, interesting. So specialized strengths are emerging.
Definitely. Which is leading to this fascinating development in user strategy, a multi-model approach. Meaning, people are now increasingly leveraging different models for different tasks, maybe using Gemini for complex back-end logic and, say, Claude for front-end and UI design, optimizing for their respective strengths.
Smart, using the right tool for the job.
Exactly. However, it's not without its quirks, of course. There are still issues, like Perplexity's best model setting, sometimes apparently prioritizing cost minimization over the actual best model selection, leading to suboptimal results.
That's counterintuitive.
A bit, yeah. And let's not forget the ongoing confusion around API credit expiry dates, which can be a real headache for developers trying to manage costs.
Right, practical hurdles.
It's clear that navigating this rapidly evolving ecosystem requires a smart, adaptive approach. You really have to understand that no single model is a panacea right now.
We've truly navigated a whirlwind of AI developments today. I mean, from groundbreaking AI-designed architecture speeding up discovery
Like Genesis,
to the fierce talent wars shaping the industry's future.
the meta moves.
And we've also explored the growing pains of integrating these powerful tools into our daily lives, from efficiency gains like Goose to the very real phenomenon of AI fatigue and the practical challenges of deployment we just discussed.
And if we connect all these individual pieces back to the bigger picture, the sheer unrelenting pace of innovation is just undeniable. But it raises, I think, an important, perhaps even provocative question for you, our listener, to think about. As AI systems become increasingly autonomous in both scientific discovery and content creation, how do you ensure you're accessing truly valuable, authentic information? And maybe even bigger picture, how will humanity adapt its own fundamental approach to learning, to understanding, and to innovation in this accelerating, ever-changing landscape?
A lot to mull over, as always. Thanks for diving deep with us today.